Hello and welcome back to another fine evening here at Fecal Matters. I am your host, JLock TV. Of course, you guys know by now, but experienced veteran in the cooking field. Generally just an asshole that talks a lot of shit. And this, of course, is our co-host Skittles, owner of the Coney Corner, man who likes to give his wiener to any stranger that'll take it. Scott, how are you doing?
Absolutely.
How are you doing this
I'm
week?
doing I'm doing great. And you think you're the asshole. You know, have you met me?
Yes, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we have had a very long friendship. I've met you for longer than most people can stand you for 5 minutes, so
Right?
whew, I've known you for
Oh,
more years than most people can handle you for minutes. That's a yep. But
well, 14 minutes is a long time with me.
uh God. I couldn't even imagine like for these poor women that have actually slept with you. 14 minutes of dealing with you.
I know, right?
I just imagine, I try not to, but obviously like I'm just that guy. I just imagine you just like selfishly just masturbating over them like, "Yeah, you want this, don't you?" They're like, "Dude, of course, that's why we're here. What the fuck's wrong with you?"
It's not like that. There's a lot more crying involved on my part, to be honest.
On their part? No, on
No,
their
no, on my part, my part,
really?
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
I also noticed you. I can't help but notice you switched headphones this week so that you weren't green screening out your padding. Good for you. Good for you.
Well, yeah, no, I thought my green ones were glitching out, and then I
Oh
switched
shit!
over to the blue ones.
And you haven't
And
swapped
then
back.
then it's like, well, actually the problem's still persisting, so I fixed the problem and I just have been way too lazy to switch them
What was
back.
the
So
issue?
I don't know what the issue was, but the sound cut out, so I thought maybe it's my headphones. So I switched the headphones and it's like, okay, sound's still out. Then I tinkered with something audio settings. It was on Telegram. I don't know. I don't know what
Are you
happened.
running on the rear jack or the forward jack?
I'm running on the one that's on top of my tower
Yeah, the
here.
forward
I don't
jack.
know.
So I
Yeah.
always not to like get too dissuaded here from the original topic, but um I always recommend running on the rear jack because it's directly on the motherboard. Whereas the one that you're running on the top of your PC on your case is actually just cabled into the motherboard. You could have loose jumpers that could cause that issue. It could just be degradation from the signal being all the way up that chain, but I don't know. Personally, I always run it on the rear jack. You just get better overall sound.
Yeah, I'm sure you like to run it on the rear jack.
Hell yeah, straight up the rear.
Awesome. Well, have you heard about the Pokemon with Guns game?
Dude, we
I saw you
literally
playing
covered
it
it
the other
last
day.
week, you son of a bitch. Like, why do you gotta say it like we don't already know what we're talking about? Palworld, guys,
No, but
Palworld. We talked about Palworld last week. We watched the trailer for it, and I do believe that I told everybody that, in my opinion, this is going to be one of the biggest games of the year. And God bless if the community that started playing Palworld didn't agree with me. Palworld is a massive hit. It has already sold 5 million plus copies in the first week. And obviously, that 5 million plus copies has come with a certain amount of controversy. It has come with a certain amount of mods that weren't supposed to exist, which we'll get into in a moment. But yeah, as promised, Palworld is killing it. I'm fucking playing the shit out of it already. I've probably put at least 20 hours into it already, and I'm somebody that actually has a pretty hard job. Like keeps me pretty damn busy. But the first big piece of issue it ran into was um obviously everybody compares it to Pokemon because you have monsters and you collect them in little spheres that are not so different than Pokeballs, and that's fine. I actually think they look a lot like the fucking bombs from Legend of Zelda, honestly. They do kind of look like them. They kind of look like the
al-
bombs from fucking Breath of the Wild.
although I did find it funny that you can actually capture other humans in the game.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that, but um the one of the first things that happened is they released a fucking mod for the game that turns everyone into Pokemon characters and turns all the different monsters into Pokemon. Which, of course, it's Nintendo. That immediately prompted a cease and desist on the mod itself and on the creators of the mod, and got Palworld into a mild amount of hot water. More
I,
like
I'm
a
sure
more like a spit in the face than anything.
I'm sure people are still running it offline. Like it wouldn't surprise me if people were running it offline.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about it yet, but I'm not sure if it's an offline game. Like, I'm not sure that there is an offline only version of it.
People have their ways of playing games offline. Like
Yeah,
I certainly
maybe,
have played my games offline as much as
maybe. I mean,
possible.
it's possible, but it's kind of terminally online because of cloud services and stuff it uses to save it and whatever. But yeah, immediately the cease and desist, which is funny because it was a solid looking mod. Maybe we'll pull it up here in a bit and you guys can see what it looks like. But one of the biggest things is there was a lot of people have tried to draw a parity between Palworld and Pokemon. And the issue I take with that after playing it for the hours that I've played it is I actually, beyond the baseline collect monsters and use monsters to help in battle, it honestly isn't anything like Pokemon. It really, really isn't. Scott, have you managed to lay
I have
hands on the
not.
game for a little bit, or have you only just
I
watched?
have. I have. I've only watched. I have been really busy with work.
Yeah.
I actually got to sell one of my shirts this last week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's one of my personal favorites. It says "Put my wiener in your mouth."
Of course it
I'd
does.
I'd hold it up for you guys, except I sold it.
Yeah, well, there's that. Don't tell me it was like
So
on you at the time you sold it.
I was not personally wearing
Oh,
it.
okay. I was gonna say that'd be a little weird if you sold the literal shirt off your back right there, right there in
Let
the
me just
middle of
take
a
off my
bar.
coat and my undercoat
Right,
and the shirt
right,
itself.
right. Yeah, no, that's funny. But yeah, no. So I mean, you've seen it though. Honest to
Yeah.
God, there's really no parallels
I
beyond
mean, like,
capture and use Pokemon.
like the man, cat's trying to pee on my desk.
That's
Um,
not great.
I don't know, or I don't know if he was trying to, or if I don't know, but he just kind of squatted in a way that I didn't like it. So I pushed him off the desk.
Naturally,
Um, but no, I mean, like, Pokemon is whatever it is, like whatever you want it to be. Like it's
is
you
it
know,
though? Okay, let me put it this way: Pokemon's formula has practically not changed since Red and Blue.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you have the Pokemon, you run around, you fight other Pokemon. That is the basic premise
Yeah,
of the whole thing.
yeah. You train up Pokemon that you collect from the wild. You get a starter somewhere. You go through the game. You explore the map, and you use your Pokemon to battle and become champion.
Yeah. I'm sure the objective is completely different for Palworld. Like you don't
It's
try to become the champion of something.
no Palworld is a survival game. You
Yeah.
don't you
So it's
don't get
like
a starter Pokemon. You don't even get starter materials. You have to collect everything off the ground and kind of like figure out how to do shit.
Minecraft or Rust with a Pokemon element.
You know, the closest honest comparison so far has been
Ark Survival.
Arc Evolved. Yeah, that's been the honest comparison that most people have made that like feels the most relevant from gameplay I've seen. It's got a lot of similarities to Arc, but like calling a Pokemon with guns is um it's a bad parody because it's not really true. It's not Pokemon with guns. It's Pokemon with labor and world building and literal world building because you can basically change things in the game as you go. It's Pokemon with attacks that you have to repel on your base. It's There's no trainers, but there's like elements in the world that you have to kind of try to take down to protect the island, and it's very much a survival game to its finest core. Um, and it's definitely not for kids. Oh no
Oh,
no
yeah, I mean,
no! It is
considering
not
you
for
can
kids.
considering you can participate in cannibalism and slavery, like I
Well,
don't think it's for kids.
and one of the big differentiating features of this game, besides what you just suggested, is that this game, it doesn't sugarcoat anything. When you kill a pal in the world, it's dead. You collect meat off of its carcass, you collect parts for things that you're going to be building later. It's dead. When your pals get knocked out, that's one thing. You can revive your pals that are in your that you've already bought, like made up. But like when you fight enemy elements in the world, you're killing them. When you fight big monsters that you don't capture, you're killing them. you're killing a lot in this game. You're like a lot with guns, with bows and arrows and crossbows and spears and axes and I mean, like I said, there's really no beyond the basic collect monsters element to the game. There's no parallel. There really isn't. Um, it's a whole on builder and survival, and you get to a point in the game where where the technology starts to evolve, where you've literally got production lines with pals working the production lines, like I almost said something I shouldn't. like sweat camps. We'll call it that. We'll just call it what it is without saying the exact attribute I was getting to. But you
Yeah,
basically
yes,
are running
master.
you're basically running sweat camps. And as he kind of suggested, one of the other things is in Pokemon, you cannot capture trainers. That's just not a thing. You can only capture Pokemon. You can't steal Pokemon either, right? In this game, yeah, you can absolutely capture somebody. It's a little harder than getting the pals because the balls really aren't tuned for it. But yeah, you 100% can capture human characters in the game and put them to work in your camps or even use them to fight monsters with you, which is like, and the game tells you, it's like, hey, just so you know, it's kind of considered to be a little bit taboo to do this, but what's yours is yours. And what he was talking about with the cannibalism that was really funny is you can take, there's a butcher's knife that you can build. And the butcher's knife allows you to slaughter excess pals that you may have collected over time. You can slaughter the excess pals to turn them into parts and food. Really valuable feature, especially when you get some of these lower end pals that have like really bad, like negative stat attributes, like works slower, does less damage, and well, you're not going to use them for anything. You sure as hell don't want to combine them into other pals using a pal combiner. So what you do, you put them in your party, you walk them out the back of the shed, and you fucking cut them down. And now they're at least useful. Now they're food. Um,
Yep.
this game, say, and the reality is you could do the same thing with the human elements that you pick up. Anything that's in a pal ball is considered to be a pal. You have a human that's not doing a good enough job in the camp, walk him behind the shed, take out that damn butcher's knife, and you push him to the ground, you cut him up. And the game it's not tame about it. Yeah, it's not tame about it. You are committing some pretty serious violence at pretty much all points in this game.
It puts the lotion on its skin, or it gets the hose
It's
again.
something. It's something like that. But yeah, you definitely can't make the direct comparison, and because there is no real direct comparison. That said, what I will say, while people are trying to make the direct comparison, I will take it a step further and say this is what we thought, or at least what we hoped, Pokemon Arceus was going to be. I ended up never playing Arceus. I saw a lot of videos of Arceus, but I ended up never playing Arceus because honestly, it looked really boring. And I had people that liked it, and then I had a lot of other people that did play it that said that it was really boring. That somehow they had taken this open world exploration Pokemon game where you could see the Pokemon on the map because it was the first time ever that they'd started like really starting to load everything into the game because they were using a higher powered console. It was the fact that you could see everything and yet at the same time they weren't interesting. They weren't interesting. It was still do a Pokemon battle, capture a Pokemon, train the Pokemon, do more Pokemon battles, capture. And it was just like, when I saw Palworld, I was like, oh, this is the Pokemon game we've always asked for in a modern world where people want things that are interesting and different instead of the continuous rehash of, you know, they're my friends.
Train, fight, train, fight,
Well,
train,
yeah, I
fight.
mean, how many times do I have to beat a fucking Elite Four before it's obvious that this is the same game loop over and over again? Don't get me wrong. I think when they introduced like doubles really changed competitive play in a positive way. Doubles made competitive play for Pokemon really fun and cool.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah, Gen 3 kind of revolutionized
yeah,
the
yeah,
the
yeah,
the experience a bit
absolutely.
more.
But like, what really didn't help ultimately was like, what's it called? Mega Evolution was kind of like, huh. And then Dino whatever or whatever the fuck it was, Dino Size or whatever. That was like, okay. Like they just keep adding little gimmicks to the exact same fucking game loop over and over and over again. And it's like, at what point, at what point do we take this game, this franchise, and actually step it up to being something different, to being something fresh? Because like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Sun and Moon. That was kind of cool. Getting rid of HMs and stuff was kind of nice because it was like, oh cool, I can just like have these tools that I use to call specific taxi Pokemon. Now I don't have to waste moves on Pokemon in my actual party, which means that there's the ability to have more flavorful combat built in. And yet, we didn't. Another example of this is everybody really wanted like Pokken Tournament. I don't know if you knew anything about that game either. It was like the
Nope.
Pokemon fighting game. They really wanted Pokken Tournament to have like two modes. A mode where you, like in Pokemon Stadium, where you just had the Pokemon that are built into the game and you play them. And then they wanted to have something like where you would load Pokemon from your cartridges or from your other games using the Pokemon Bank to like play using the Pokemon that you have raised and the move sets that they have available to actually do it like Pokemon Stadium did. Because Pokemon Stadium, hands down, one of the greatest things Pokemon ever released.
Yeah,
Just
it
was.
was a phenomenal game for its time.
Yeah, just was. It was just fun. It was fun. It was an addictive thing to see those Pokemon brought to life the way they were. And that's what everybody was hoping with Pokken, is they were going to take something maybe like the break system from Final Fantasy what's it fucking called? Final Fantasy. They had a fighting game that I can't think of. Dissidia. Final Fantasy Dissidia. They were hoping that maybe they'd take the break system from Final Fantasy Dissidia, which they did. Like Pokemon or Pokken Tournament has the break system. It has the same kind of break system. But how cool would it have been to have that same break system with weaknesses and everything applied to a cartridge battle where you bring in your Pokemon from your cartridge and they bring in their Pokemon from their cartridge, and you have like a 6-on-6 battle royale style where as one goes down, another one comes in, and it's back and forth and it's fighting and having the ability to dodge and move around. That's what we wanted from Pokemon Tournament, and it ended up not happening, which made the game, well, die. Like it was really popular for like 6 months, and now nobody even talks about it anymore, except dumbasses like me who are just whinging at the fact that those games don't work. This is the same way I feel about Palworld. Palworld is a game that all of us have dreamed about for years. As far as the Pokemon franchise goes, a more raw, more realistic, more. I mean, all you got to do to know that Pokemon is a soft game is actually read through the Pokédex. Those Pokemon are literally cataclysmic level dangers at all times. Pikachu has so much power that it could literally melt a hole through the earth, and it just does it. And these battles
You
are
know,
them just knocking each other out. How are we capturing them again? Like realistically, realistically, no. None of this works. None of this makes sense. All these Pokemon are way more legendary than anyone realizes if you read the Pokédex. That in mind, when I go and I play Palworld, I feel very much like I'm interacting with them. They're clearly not friends. They're clearly pets and workers and battle companions at best. Like you don't make friends with your pals in this game because at some point you're going to abandon them for a much better version of something else. I know I have none of my starting party that I built originally in Palworld. 20 hours later, I am nothing but like boss monsters I've captured and rare monsters I've found that upgraded a previous monster I would have already been using. I mean, the game has a kind of sky's the limit mentality that is really, really, really hard to argue with, and I kind of love that about it. But also, it's one of those things for a lot of people that I think they're still trying to imagine this as Pokemon. At the end of the day, it's not Pokemon. Matter of fact, I find it insulting to Palworld to compare Palworld to Pokemon at this point. I just do. It's sold as good or better than any Pokemon game in history.
yeah.
It's way more investing. Like it usually takes me months to finish a Pokemon game because even though it could be done in a week,
It's just the
It's
grind.
yeah, it's really grindy, and I just kind of get bored doing a lot of the weird grindy shit. In this game, if I had to say one thing that's really driving me nuts in Palworld, it's ore. Collecting ore is kind of a bitch. I've managed to find a few really good mining nodes, but it's so heavy that even though I've invested most of my character skill points into carry weight, I still can't fucking carry more than like 80 ore at a time. But that minor complaint aside, the game feels good. It feels good. The collecting system makes perfect sense. The way it lines everything out for your tech levels and everything makes perfect sense. The way you get, as you develop your camp and you get the ability to run more and more Poke Slaves, it just makes sense. Like, the game feels good. It feels interactive. It feels like I have some level of control. Once you start, like, it doesn't hold your hand much either. Like, it sets you out into the world and it says, okay, if you get fucked up, don't tell me about it. Just figure that shit out. And I can tell you, I've been figuring my shit out pretty quick. But yeah, no, I strongly recommend Palworld to anybody. If you guys want to play with me, let me know. I know my wife and I are going to start a server at some point. She wants to play, so I'm going to have to buy 2 copies of it. Fuck. But yeah, no, that's all I'm saying. We really just should, as a community, we should stop doing Palworld the injustice of comparing it to Pokemon, because in every meaningful way, Palworld is the superior game. It just
Yeah.
is. It just is. Anyways, I'm done ranting. I think I've been ranting about Palworld for almost 20
You
minutes.
have been. And I'm just sitting here like he's enjoying Power World. I'm going on my, you know, upteenth playthrough of Heroes of Might and Magic 3
Jesus
campaigns.
Christ, bro. Just get Palworld and play it. You'll enjoy it.
Like I'm just saying, I don't need to invest any money into Heroes 3. It's already there, and I already know I enjoy
Bro, just get Palworld.
it.
Just get it. Just do
I
it.
should, I should, I should get Power World.
You'd
Maybe I'll get it.
you would really genuinely get sucked into it. It would be good for you to get away from work for a
I
while and actually like enjoy the game. Also, because you're starting
don't
to
know.
look like a greasy chess player, and that's bad.
Yeah, no, I was playing way too much chess today. I had like I'm feeling the toxicity whenever I play chess. I need to stop.
You're gonna
I'm
start
getting
being like fucking
salty.
Magnus, just throwing games because you can.
There's just like filthy Frank. Know your place,
I know
trash.
your place trash. Get out of my face, nerd.
Yeah,
Nah,
no,
but
it's
seriously,
it's
get it. Trust me, trust me. Buy the damn game.
we'll
Maybe
see.
you start the server and Courtney and I jump in with you later, because it supports up
You
to
know,
32 players on a server.
let me open up Steam real quick just to see how much it is because I don't actually don't know how much
thirty
it is.
dollars.
Is it really $30?
It's $30
I was
for
thinking it was like
for a
60 or
game that
70. I was
I
like,
know for a fact I'm gonna put about 400 hours into.
but that reminds me, we still have to do a Heroes of Might and Magic 3 stream for you because
We're
you
gonna
said you're
talk
gonna
about
try
that
to,
later. Anyway, wait until it's gonna be a couple more months, man. You gotta wait until this new schedule. So my schedule is switching at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to? Let me read it out to you. My schedule looks like this. They're gonna be 12s, shifts of 12. Okay. I'm not gonna show you guys what this sheet says because it's the collective bargaining agreement, and Lamb Weston would have my ass for posting any union related shit to live streams. Let me see.
So Power World with the soundtrack bundle is $32,
Uh-huh.
and then
It's actually a pretty good
Power World itself.
pretty good music.
Okay, so it's on a 10% discount for another 2 days.
So buy it. I don't fucking know. Why are you telling me like I
I don't
don't
know.
already own it? Anyways,
Well, we're talking to other people here, so
yeah, there's that. There's that. I think most people that are
you
interested in
know.
Power World have certainly already started playing it, to be honest. 5 million copies in a week, whatever. But so my new schedule will be as follows in a couple months when we start rotating into this. If I go day shift, if I go day,
If
or if I that's what it is. If I go shift A, so there's day shift A and B, and then there's or there's night shift A and B. So if I'm with group A, no matter which shift I'm on, I will have work for in a 2 week period. It'll be Monday off or Monday on, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday on, Saturday, Sunday off, Monday off, Tuesday, Wednesday on, Thursday, Friday off, Saturday, Sunday on.
So it's like 2 days, 2 days on, 2 days off, something
So
like that.
yeah, kinda. So it's in a 14-day period, it's one on, two off, two on, two off, or three off, two on, two off, three on, and so forth, and it just goes
So,
back
so
to that.
you work 7 days out of the 14.
I work 7 days out of 14 if I take no extra shifts for fun.
And you basically work
And I make
you
all
hit
my
every
hours,
calendar day.
and I
You
work,
hit, yeah, you hit every calendar day,
yeah,
right?
and I make all my money during that time. I make all my money during that time, which really means two things. One, I'm going to have a lot more free time. Two, we are probably going to have to change when we start the podcast. So look forward to
That would
that.
work for me.
Yeah, look forward to that. We'd have to switch. We'd probably have to roll back. We would have to, depending on what I get. If I get day shift, you're really going to be mad. If I get my way, it'll be night shift. If I get night shift, we will be starting at like 4 my time, 6 your time.
Yeah, that would work for me. That'd work really well
Because
for me.
because I would podcast, I would do it from 4 to 6. Then I'd turn around, jump into my work clothes and head to work.
That's something that's what I would do. Is I just like get ready to go and go
But if
sell
I'm on
wieners.
but if I'm on day shift, 7 to 7 at night, then we're going to have to do the podcast an hour later, maybe an hour and a half even. So it'd be closer to like it'd be 8:30 my time, 10:30 your
10:30.
time.
I could make that work. That's fine.
That's what I'm saying. You're gonna like it better if I end up on the night shift, which is the preference. So like we were actually talking about this earlier, Courtney and I. We were talking about it. It's like realistically, the 7 to 7 shift really, really sucks for day shift. Imagine having to be to work at 7 in the morning before anything really opens and getting out at 7 at night where most things are starting to close down.
Right.
On the other hand, there's the graveyard shift. You go in at 7 o'clock at night, get off at 7 in the morning, where
And
everything's
Taco Bell
open.
breakfast is right there.
Dude, exactly. Exactly. Shit like that. Like everything's actually opening up at 7 in the morning. So you can go out
You
for a couple hours, then go to sleep, get up and go back to work, but you don't miss everything that way. Then again, but to keep in mind, again, in a 14-day period, both shifts get 7 days off. Because it's an A and a B, it's A and B shifts. A days in A graveyard, B days in B graveyard. Super, super, super nice. But it is 12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
So then you got to consider the fact that I live in Tri Cities, so it's like 14-hour days ultimately. It ultimately ends up being 14-hour days
Yeah.
because travel time. But you know what? I'll fucking take it.
Yeah.
I really will. I'll fucking take that.
Absolutely.
That's good money. That's good money. Overtime starts after the 10 hours, so guaranteed 14 hours of overtime per pay period. And any extra shifts I take are an extra 12 hours of overtime.
Awesome.
You
Yeah,
actually
I
seem slightly envious at that idea.
not really. Yeah, because here's the thing. I work how many hours that I work am I going to work this week? So I'm planning on working 5 days this week. I'm going to end up working like what, 30 hours? And I'll probably end up making around 2 grand.
Not bad. Well,
So,
before or after cost. You always say that, but
okay.
you
Okay,
never
after
account for
cost.
taxes and
Okay.
everything else coming out of it.
Okay, after cost, after taxes, 1300 bucks.
That's not bad. So that's about what I make.
Yeah. Well, for 30 hours?
Yeah.
So, you
It's
know,
coming with a big pay bump too. We're coming up like almost $2-3 an hour for it.
so, you know, sure,
Pretty
after
pretty
taxes and costs and everything.
pretty steep quality of life improvement. And then if I just add 12 hours each week, which I probably will, to be honest, I'm gonna probably take any overtime I get offered, even if it means I end up with like no days off in a week. That's a lie. You in the contract, I have to give myself at least one day off each week. But
So,
yeah, I'm just looking forward to killing it on money. A lot of people are like, I'm gonna lose so much money. The people that are losing money on this, honest to God, are the people that already volunteered and like we're doing 5 days a week. All of them were 12-hour shifts. So yeah, they're technically
yeah.
losing money.
Yeah, because they're not getting as much overtime.
Well, they're not getting the double time. Those people, so the way it works in our collective bargaining is that if you exceed 60 hours in a week, any hours after that are double time. So there
I
were
would
people
honestly,
that
I
were
would have loved
breaking
to get
that.
paid double time anywhere.
Oh, dude, I'm learning just how much of a shit show cooking really was. Like working this job because I get paid just buku money for. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even gonna pretend it's not what I'm doing. For basically sitting on my ass most of the time. Like,
Yeah.
I tell people this all the time. My job is one of two parallels. It's either everything goes well and I get to sit on my ass all day watching YouTube, or everything goes wrong and I spend the whole day just on my feet running around soaking wet in disgusting filthy water fixing just fucking everything. There's no in between, by the way. There's never a day where it's like, yeah, one or two things broke. No. Generally speaking, if something breaks, it means there's something going on further up the line that's causing the issue. Like maybe rocks are falling into the line, or God bless. The other day, I had, I'm not even sure I'm allowed to say this legally, whatever. The, the other day, some piece of,
Theoretically.
theoretically, some piece of metal fell off of something somewhere in our construct and found its way into one of my cutter machines. At which point I had to take the machine down because it warped and tore up so much of the fucking machine as it hit that as it hit the blade blocks and shit. I couldn't operate the machine. It actually took me like I had to break the machine down just to get to where the piece of metal was jammed in, locking everything up around it. It was crazy. I'd never seen anything like it up to this point. I've seen small rocks make their way in, and those always find their way out later down the line because we have different devices that help sort that away from actual product. Like I've found pieces of rock that have been caught in there, or I've found little pieces of plastic that again, same thing, get pulled out. We have metal detectors, so any metal shavings or anything, those always get pulled out because they just get deleted from the line. But yeah, like it was crazy as fuck finding that big ass piece of metal in there that just clapped my fucking machine. So I was like, ugh, this is gonna be a bad day, isn't it? Yeah, it was a really bad day. There was rocks. One of our pipelines had frozen up really, really bad. So like there was just potatoes all over the floor because things weren't going where they were supposed to be going, and I ended up doing all kinds of extra cleaning and shit. That it was,
I can
man.
imagine it was not fun.
Nope, that was one of those. I think that was my first day back too. It was my first day back after the wedding and medical leave. Like it was,
You're
it,
just like
it was special. Yeah, it was a
the
special
machine was
special
tempting
thing.
you to finger it again.
Shut the fuck up. Be good to me, baby. No.
Little did you know, Jigsaw was hiding out in the pipes.
Yeah, no shit. It was a rough experience though. It really was. We we had a bad first day and then we had a bad second day, and then by the third day it was kind of bad but getting better, and on the fourth day everything was pretty good. Until it wasn't. Then we had to emergency cut change and the rest of the day was terrible. That's just how
Well,
it goes sometimes. Production is like that where again, when everything's running real smooth and everything's in order and the potatoes are looking good and the trim line's doing a good job getting all the bullshit out of the line that comes out of fields, because you got to keep in mind these are farmers on their fields. They're not doing anything about rocks. They don't give a fuck about rocks. Hell, in many ways, it benefits them because it adds to the total weight of the load they just loaded onto a truck. They don't give a fuck about rocks. Shit like that shows up all the time. Big piece of metal or big piece, like a piece of a tractor, like that fell off or something. Big nuts and bolts. Like these are things that make their way into a production line, and then there's people in like machines that extract all of them, so there's nothing but potatoes. But like you get white peeled potatoes and a little white rock hiding underneath the potato, you might miss the little white rock, and that's when it ends up in my machine. So
Yep.
the cleaner the product line that comes in, the better the day is. That's 100% facts. Oh, so yeah, my job goes from being like really impressively nice and easy and simple, where I get to spend a whole day just slow jerking watching YouTube all fucking day, to other days where it's like, ah, yes, everything conceivably that could go wrong is actually going wrong. Shit.
Well, we can't all expect to be geologists on our bad days.
Yeah, there's that.
Because, but you know what a bad day for a geologist looks like? It's where the rocks on your table end up being rocks on the floor. That's what their bad day is.
But
That's the worst case scenario for a geologist.
I don't get
Oh,
it.
never mind. So, there was a meme, I don't know however long ago. It's like, what's the worst case scenario for your specific profession? Biologist is like a deadly pathogen. A astrophysicist, it's like a death meteor hurtling towards the earth. And for a geologist, it's a rock on table is now rock on floor.
That's stupid. That's dumb. Why? Oh man.
He's just looking at rocks all day. That's what they do.
So we don't talk about politics too much on this channel as a general rule, but I do think when it comes to an election time like we're working our way into right now, it's always important to make sure that we're all on the same page. Which should be the Democrats have lost their fucking mind. Not because I'm a Republican by any stretch of the imagination, but simply because like they're just making things worse. They're not helping anyone. All these attempts at equality are dragging us down, right? That said, and this is why I'm again not a Republican either, the Republicans are also losing their fucking minds. As recently, Nikki Haley is actually one of the Republican front runners, quote unquote, with the front runner, because God bless who the hell actually wants this woman. Nikki Haley, Republican representative, is actually trying to raise the retirement age in America to like 70 to 80 years old.
It's
Mind
I think
you,
no, it was like from 60. It went from 65 to 60. No, 63 to 67, I believe.
no, it's 65 right now, but she's talking about
Or
70
and
to 80 because of increased life expectancy,
the
which, like,
retirement age. Changing the retirement age currently in the 20s. So it's for people that are currently in their 20s, and it would go from. Let me find the actual age itself.
that's here nor there to the problem.
Oh,
The
I know.
problem
I understand what the problem
the
is.
problem is if I want to draw my retirement, I really shouldn't have to fight that hard for it. I want you to consider the fact that the government has found a way to manipulate us into believing they're actually trying to help us by setting us up with a retirement fund and then locking us out of it until we're old enough to have it. And oh, we dictate when you're old enough now. Like
Yeah, and
that's
yeah.
crazy,
So it's
right?
a yeah. So the article I just looked at said 67 and up. So it could be higher than 67, but 67 is looking at the baseline for Nikki Haley's policy.
Which is still
So
wrong, no matter how you look at
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Like, I'm
Yeah, no,
sorry, I work hard. I want to enjoy my retirement when I want to enjoy it.
well, it's like you got a whole bunch of people trying to make things far more difficult than they need to be.
Right.
You know, you got like all these I don't want to call they're not I don't know why the word eco-terrorist comes to mind, but it kind of is because based off of the strictest definition of terrorism, they are eco-terrorists. Um, but these like people that are absolutely abhorrently against oil and fuel-based products, gas-based products. It's just like it's not helping. Yeah, we still need gas and oil for a lot of stuff
Yeah,
until we have
absolutely.
something that's sustainable and something that works.
Yeah,
It doesn't
absolutely.
You standing in the middle of traffic and blocking an ambulance from getting someone saved, who knows? That person might be the person that actually, invents something that fixes the problem that you're complaining about. I
Hmm.
don't know.
Well,
Like,
and it's such a thing that like it's so funny to me that people are talking like always like, "Oh, we have these electric systems, we have these electric." Okay,
yeah, what do they run
but
off
how do
of?
they work? They run off of batteries. Well, how do batteries work? Well, batteries use like these acid-based cells made out of really really corrosive material that also happens to release a lot of really nasty gases.
Yeah,
Um,
where does that come from?
do you understand that the problem you're talking about is two different gases that destroy the ozone? So we either stop using vehicles altogether, which good fucking luck with that, because the wealthy sure as hell aren't going to let that happen, or we just shut the fuck up and let technology develop like it always has in this country, and understand that eventually somebody like Elon Musk will create a battery that is actually good enough to maintain in this society and not just burn out every 10 years. Even though you can replace individual cells of the battery as they go out, you're going to have to replace individual cells of the battery. And the recycling process for those batteries is more toxic than running a gas car for a year. It's bad. Like really bad. Like several years even if I remember correctly. And it's all at once. It's all that gas immediately all at once, one focal point straight to the roof. It's bad. There's just no
10,000
fucking
volts of
value.
electricity straight to the nipples.
Yes, straight to the nipples of God's green earth and the ozone. Like,
Hell yeah.
stop assuming that vehicles are going to save us anything else. Furthermore, open up the damn gas pipeline so we can get some fucking fuel going and lower these prices. This is the first time in forever. I'm not sure what they're doing. Something's going on right now with oil prices, and I'm not sure why.
Well, it's an election year, and that's what I'm going to say about that.
Right, but how? What did they change? Why did my gas prices suddenly drop $1? A
I don't know.
dollar. I was paying
I
over
don't know.
5. Now I'm paying just under 4 for premium for my WRX. Where is it coming from?
That is a great question.
That's the question I need to know. That's the answer I need right now. How are the gas prices dropping?
I think what
Did
it
they
is
open the
they're
pipeline quietly?
maybe there's a silent opening just to alleviate the current demand for long enough that for them to close it again and then say, okay, well now we're just going to rubber band the price.
Well, that's what I'm saying. These companies, these gas producing companies, they want to sell this product. They want to meet supply and demand. It's better to have more supply than demand in this particular case because realistically, people want fuel. People are always going to want fuel. People are going to use a lot more fuel the cheaper the fuel is, and they're going to buy a lot more fuel. I think the real like healthy point for gasoline probably around 250 for regular. I don't like it that high. Like, don't get it twisted. Love to see gasoline back around at like $1.10. But I'm saying that with the realistic understanding of the economics of fuel and these companies wanting to make the most dollar they can per gallon, around 250 is where most people in the current economy are going to comfortably want to still drive their vehicle besides to and from work and still go do fun things and spend money and still buy more gas later. Because at 250, I don't feel like I'm struggling. At 250, I feel very comfortable filling up my tank for $30.
Well, yeah, and 250 is like probably a more accurate reflection of what inflation is supposed to be because no matter what, there's always going to be some degree of
Yeah.
inflation because more people means more dollars having to be printed mean, you can't just have a set number of dollars for an ever-growing population. You
Right,
have to
right.
have some inflation.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
So,
because ultimately at the end of the day, you're gonna have to print more money for the new people that are coming up in the world, and
yeah.
population decline is much lower. I I've said it before. I understand inflation. I actually don't. I disagree with everyone that thinks that it's crazy that an apple isn't 4 cents anymore. I'm sorry, that's just not how money and
Yeah,
commerce
it's
works.
it's our population went from 10 million to 350 million.
Yeah,
Like
you
it's
you have to you have to understand the importance of expansion. There's expansion and it matters. We have a centralized currency that needs to be able to be within reach of anybody else that wants it. There's expansion. And we have to find ways to get the money back into the economy. Part of the issue is I'm all about eat the rich. Sorry, but it's true. Part of the issue is and the reason why real economists, understanders, talk about the importance of eating the rich is the rich do have a tendency to find ways to hold on to as much of that money as possible. If you want to see the ultimate proof of how that actually works, right? I want you to really consider social media influencers. Hear me out. It's a vague reference, but it's a reference that anybody normal can see. Social media influencers tend to make a lot of brand deals. They make a lot of money on these brand deals. They also get a lot of free shit from these brand deals. Do you think the guy that's got the Steel Series Arctis 3 headset Pro version or whatever with the special color scheme, you think he bought that shit? No. They gave it to him. He's never going to have to buy it. A lot of these big time gamers or like big time gaming and influencers and shit that have like the really cool equipment, they didn't pay for most of it. Once they were big enough to have money, they started getting free shit. You and me, I'm too fucking small. I'm not getting free shit for nothing. If I want a brand deal, I have to buy the brand myself and then try to convince you to buy it too. It's a pyramid scheme. Ultimately, it's just fucking pyramid scheme branding for anybody that's too small to actually just be like, here, buy this thing, you know? And that's the reality is the wealthy have the same process. You just don't see it as much. The wealthy do not have to buy most things. They are simply given things as a show of respect for their wealth, which is crazy. Like, it hurts me a lot to really consider that fact. It is crazy. On top of that, since they pay out for employees and shit, they tend to get good tax breaks for that. Since they're covering healthcare, they get tax breaks for that. You know, Donald Trump, I know I go back to this quote from time to time, but Donald Trump famously, when Hillary Clinton accused him in their debate, 2 elections ago, accused him of dodging taxes, the first thing he said was,
Of
mm,
course I do.
"Of course I dodge taxes. The system said I could. If you don't like it, change the fucking system." Or
But
something
you won't.
very similar to that.
It's like, do it. You won't.
Right. Like, yeah, of course I'm using the system. The system is there. Why wouldn't I use the system that has been established by you? And
If
it's
you wanted to change it, you could. You didn't do anything.
well,
Don't complain
he
about
tried
it.
to change it. He tried to change it, and I remember that all of my fucking money started appearing to be a lot bigger in my account. It was like, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I like that. I like that I'm
Which,
making more money now.
you know what we really, really need? Just a complete abolishment of any and all taxes except for like a national sales tax and maybe some business taxes.
Absolutely. There should be a national and state sales tax.
Yeah, there's only three taxes that I can potentially see as being worthwhile, and that's uh, but I and that's is so there's property tax, which honestly maybe get rid of that too, but at the same time like
Well, yeah, no, property
I
tax
don't
shouldn't
know.
have existed in the first place.
So, but if the only reason property tax did it exist at all was to give specific people voting rights, which you had to own land in order to have a vote,
Well,
which
so
I
okay,
agree with.
okay,
I
okay,
agree with that concept.
but no, but here's why you're wrong. Here's why you're wrong. When they were doing property taxes like that, with the right to vote being the concept, that was because they didn't believe that the lower class had any education in the first place to be voting. Wealthy landowners were the only voters because they were also the only people with any inward knowledge of the people they were voting for. We're actually in a worse situation now. Even most of the middle class doesn't know who the fuck they're voting for most of the time. That's what made Trump such an interesting anomaly. We knew he wasn't the greatest guy ever, but we did know who he was. Like that was the first president that was like, "Oh yes, I don't have to go through some fucking hoops to look up your voting record on all of these things cuz we kind of know who you are cuz you kind of just say it and you're loud and you're this big public figure that's real big." Um that's why, because a lot of the wealthy landowners were doing it back then. But also to keep in mind, the wealthy landowners were the only people being taxed. Food for thought. The wealthy landowners were the only people being taxed, and they were being taxed for being wealthy landowners.
Yeah, I can
These
agree
are
with that.
not the same. I am not wealthy. You are not wealthy. You're a landowner. I'm not. I don't have to pay taxes for that, but you do. You get to
Yeah,
pay an annual tax for having some degree of success. And I think we can both agree it's not a very large degree of success. It's like a
yeah,
half a degree of success.
yeah,
You are still one bad month away from poverty at all times. And that's not the greatest place to be. You know what I'm saying?
yep, absolutely. I know exactly what you're saying.
Part of the reason I've still
Oh,
never bought a house is it's like, well, if I live within my means and a cheaper rental, I don't have to pay an annual tax on their bullshit.
which I mean, if that's something you want to do, I support you in that. For the people that anybody that comes to me, and there are some people that talk to me and say, hey, what should I do with my money? What should I do with my success? What should I do? And I said, well, it depends on what your goals are, but if you want to be rich, if you want to be successful, if you want to have as much cash flow as possible, you want to get into real estate.
Yep,
And you,
absolutely.
that's what you want to do. You know, find a way to trade smart in crypto and then or the stock market and get into real estate.
We do not
Those are
push
the
crypto
two.
on this channel.
I am not endorsing crypto,
it's a
but
it's a bad idea.
as we have seen with Bitcoin,
Yeah, if you were in early.
like even if you're in now, like it's about to be a bull market according to some projections, but it's
Dude,
dipping pretty heavy.
they've been saying it's a
Look,
bull market for a while,
look, I'm
and it
I'm just
just keeps
saying,
crashing.
look, I'm just saying when it does eventually skyrocket, the people that were holding out were going to be very, very wealthy.
Sure. Or you can
And
go for a cheaper
let's
coin like Doge or Sheeb that are
and
actually going to
and
have greater
let's not
percentages.
lest we forget, Dogecoin got up to 87 cents.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did. Or 83. It did get up to in the 80s of cents. Fact check me. It went up that high.
You know what really disappoints me? I would have made like $35,000 on it, except Pup chased me out of it.
Like I think I sold at 9 cents. I got in at 3 cents and I sold at 9.
I was in when it was still like 100th of a cent.
Which now it's back down to I think it's like 8 cents right now.
Right, but
Right
I
now.
got in at 100th of a cent at $100, and I was just like, it's $100 I
Yeah.
don't care about, and if this ever booms, I
Yeah,
get thousands of dollars from it. And
it is 7.8 cents. The peak it's saying the peak was 64 cents, although I remember it being what was the highest price of Dogecoin? It was 74 cents.
yeah, see, I knew it was never over
So,
80.
well, still like 74 cents, that's
It was 74 cents for
insane.
like a few hours or even
For it was
minutes.
it was for a few minutes.
And then it immediately crashed down to like 40 cents
It crashed,
as
yeah,
everybody jerked their money out of it because they knew it wasn't supposed to do that, and they pulled on that balloon as fast as they could.
which yeah, no, it's been hovering around 8 cents since then.
Yeah.
So I think that's the current stable number. But
Well, it was never
you
supposed to
know,
grow in the first place. That's what made it such a fucking gamble for me. I wish I'd kept my 100 in there, because if I'd kept my 100 in there and pulled out at 50 cents when it was sitting stable around 50 cents for like a couple weeks, I'd be living a very different life right now,
yeah,
to say the
yeah.
least.
Well, and then I mean, but then you also had like the GameStop phenomenon, which
Man, GameStop I could have made a ton of money on, but I
and
had
it's just
no
like
idea it
it's
was
a
like
lot
a
of woulda,
Reddit
coulda,
meme.
shoulda. Well, it was a lot of woulda,
Yeah,
coulda, shoulda, but I think
okay.
that's
So
what
it's actually
we're in the
worse than you
same
think.
situation now.
But it's
Well, we're in
so
the
much
same
worse than you think.
situation.
It's so much worse with the GameStop one. It's so much worse than you think. I had a friend that was like following the whole drama for that. That was like, you should totally just invest a bunch of money in GameStop. Didn't tell me why, by the way. He didn't say a word as to why I should want to invest a bunch of money in GameStop. And I was like, why the fuck would I do that? GameStop is like a slow but sure failing company that needs a whole ass business remodel. Why would I invest any money into a company that's definitely on the downward trend? And then, like, literally a week later, GameStop went crazy when everybody just started dumping money into their stock. And it was like, what? It saved the company, by the way. They're still
Oh yeah,
around. They were definitely within a year of bankruptcy.
which honestly, I think that was the biggest fu to the elite that could have possibly ever happened.
Yeah, probably. It hurt a lot of people.
It hurt a lot of really rich people.
Yeah.
So for the eat the rich crowd, that's exactly what you wanted.
Well, and it hurt a lot of wealthy middle class too that tried to get in on it to try to capitalize. But that was also like one of those things where it's like, okay, but you invested money you couldn't afford to lose. That's on you. The rest of us were playing with money we could definitely afford to lose.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're that exorbitantly wealthy, the loss of a couple $1 million is nothing.
Right, exactly.
It's like, oh, your net worth is 5 billion. What's the loss of 2 million?
Yeah, for sure. Exactly.
You know, average American, their net worth is $5,000. If that's the equivalent of them losing $2.
Yeah.
I misplaced 8 quarters.
So,
That is the equivalent.
speaking of taxes and eat the rich, have you heard about what's going on over in Germany right now, or has been going on? I'm not sure if it's still going on, but it had been.
The agricultural strike.
Yeah, the big agricultural strike. And it's not like a kind or sweet protest either.
My mine corn.
Mine corn, Jesus. No, so like the German farmers, what ended up happening is the German legislature has been voting to pass a um tax bill. If you've never farmed, this is fairly universal, but if you've never farmed, farmers tend to get a lot of weird tax breaks to help benefit the fact that they're providing a mass service for the entire country, right? So they tend to get a lot of tax breaks in regards to like fuel. Normally you pay a fuel tax, right? Well, they don't pay a fuel tax and things like that. Like land taxes, they tend to get a break on their land ownership because it's all commercial use. It's all meant to produce food for people. So they tend to kind of cut them a little break and let them make a little bit more of their money. Um, what ended up happening is the German courts had determined that the German government had been using funds in an illegal fashion to the tune of putting them some 14 billion. I'm going to actually pull up the article for this real quick. German farmer protest. But if we go
Which actually,
here,
I know this is backtracking a little bit, but there's something that I saw that I wanted to bring up. Um, because it's like video game related, but it is the people aggressively rebelling against Ubisoft because Ubisoft said get used to not owning your video games.
oh yeah, we can talk about that too in just a minute.
Yeah.
Um, there's there's nuance to that that's really important. We'll
Oh,
come
I'm sure
back.
there is.
We'll come back around to that. That might not even make it on today's podcast, but we'll definitely come back around to that at some point. Um, But yeah, in Berlin, Germany, Berlin has been nearly been brought to a standstill as thousands of farmers rally against tax raises and subsidy cuts, culmination of a week of protests that have piled misery on German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Governing coalition, streets leading, blah, blah, blah. Multiple other protests. Let's see. I mean, look at this. They're road blocking with big tractors and shit. Just covering the streets and tractors, eating in the
They're
middle of the street.
eating their own food in the middle of the street.
Uh huh. Da, 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 da. Trying to find the exact thing. I'm here to protest for a new election in this country because we are in difficulties with our government. Martin, a farmer from Rugen, I don't know what to do with those.
Lugan.
Yeah, kind of Hadouken. Uh, who was protesting in Berlin said they don't hear us. They make regulations that harm every one of us, not only the farmers but everyone in this country. We think enough is enough. Trying to get the specifics. Polarization.
And before they call the farmers Nazis.
Yeah, no shit, right? Well, not in Germany though. You know, like don't get it twisted, but like not in Germany, they wouldn't say that. It's something.
Right wing extremists.
If one of my German viewers was in here, because I have a German viewer that's pretty regular. If my German viewer was in here, he could tell us. But I'm pretty sure you're literally not allowed to talk about anything from that era. Like World War II is just like this big taboo that we don't talk about. You know.
Far right coup fantasies.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
right.
tell who wrote it.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean,
CNN.
it's CNN. So quote unquote reputable news source, but it is a thing that's happening. I'm just trying to find what they're doing to their subsidies. But basically they're taking away their subsidies to the tune of, you know, trying to recover some 4.9 billion in excess spending that the German government was doing illegally without their democratic republic, by the way, permission. So, yeah, if your food prices go up and it was something German, that's probably why, because they're real pissed about it over there right now.
Yep. Yep. Thank you, CNN.
Yeah, no
Short for
shit.
clearly not news.
Clearly not news. CNN. Fuck you. That's why. Um, in American politics, Ron DeSantis has actually pulled completely out of the 2024 race. And for the first time since he opted into the 2024 race, he's finally endorsing Trump.
So now we have the of course the front runners have been limited down to Nikki Haley and Donald Trump.
Yeah, yep,
So
absolutely.
Nikki Haley being number 2 out
She
of
is pretty
2.
number two. We know what number two looks like on this channel, and yeah, she's pretty shit. Um, but yeah, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis dropped out of the 2024 presidential election race and suspended his campaign on Sunday, this last Sunday. Like literally a few days ago, he pulled completely out. It's clear to me the majority public primary wants to give Donald Trump another chance. He added that he signed a pledge to support the eventual nominee. As he left the race, DeSantis took a parting shot at Nikki Haley. Trump, he said in his video, has my endorsement because he can't go back to the old Republican guard of yesteryear, a repackaged form of warmed over corporatism that Nikki Haley represents. DeSantis has been saying a lot of dumb shit for the last few months, like genuinely just the worst kind of candidate, and his campaign team definitely has a lot to do with how bad that has been. But 100% this is a W for him. He's backing the right guy. He's saying what most of us have been saying for years, that it's time for this old government to like stop,
To die.
to die. It's time for them to stop.
Literally.
Like this government needs out. Hey, watch out with the literally. That sounds like a call to action.
Oh no, oh no. I mean, I'm talking about, the most of Congress being in hospice, okay?
That's fair. Uh did you see that video? Did we talk about that last week?
I don't think we did.
Did you see the video for God, have we talked about that? Hold on. YouTube. White House senior living.
Senior living
At
aid.
White House Senior Living, our residents feel right at home. Our vibrant facility offers
Oh, I'm
frequent
upside down.
activities and outings,
Oh no.
round-the-clock professional care, and exquisite house-made
Oh,
meals.
man.
Well, I've been eating everything that's put in front of me. I've been eating all Italian foods, basically.
And ice cream.
And ice cream, chocolate chip ice cream.
White House Senior Living, where residents feel like presidents.
Transgender. It's made very, very cool through the media.
Stop. Gross. We're done with that. Advertising transgender while showing a couple of small children. Again, like
That's
I said last week, God made us all the same as far as I'm concerned. God made us all in his image. Anything we do is technically godly. I don't give a fuck what you do. But stay away from kids. Stay the fuck away from kids. That shit pisses me off so much. I can't imagine. I don't even want to put. I don't want to have kids and put them in school. That's how much I don't like it.
Pink Floyd said it the first time. Hey, teacher, leave them kids alone.
No shit. But so, to cover a couple of things that have fucked DeSantis over. DeSantis did something that was really, really bad. Like, or rather, at least his party did. Like his team, his publicist team. They actually released a fully AI driven thing. I can't remember what it was,
Oh yeah, that's
but
right.
they released something that was like just purely AI fraudulent of Trump doing something that he never did or said something that he never said. And it was like somebody immediately kind of like, that was AI. You know, that wasn't real, right? And they were like, it wasn't. Like, it's been bad for him this whole time. It has been one ugly downhill slide that
Like
he's deserved the
as
whole way.
as much as I love those reels on Instagram of Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Barack Obama shooting the hay with each other,
Dude,
all
those are
saying the
fucking
N-word,
hilarious.
they're hilarious, but we all know that they're fake.
They're all so fake. So yeah, so that's one thing we definitely have to look forward to is I mean, God bless they don't do things that are damn near election interference levels of bullshit like trying to block him in more states, which I think it was Maryland? Was it Maryland or Georgia?
I think Georgia, they're trying to. Colorado flopped. I think
Yeah,
there's another one.
there was some state, I can't remember, maybe it was Colorado, where they actually had removed him from the ballot only to have the state government come back and say, "Yeah,
Well, it was
no,
the
that's
Supreme
not going to
Court.
happen." Yeah, the Supreme Court dropped the bomb. Like, yeah, you're not going to just deny him. It was the state Supreme Court, mind you, not the
Yeah,
national Supreme Court. The state Supreme Court was like,
which
you can't just arbitrarily remove somebody from the ballot. And it was like,
which I think I know that the U.S. Supreme Court agreed to hear the case on that specific thing. So I don't
yeah,
know what their outcome of that was. Trump Supreme Court ruling.
dude, that's going to bring up something else.
Well, apparently there's like a gag order in election interference case. I don't know. I don't think it's been completed yet. So I think it's still pending. So it's not out. There's no information on that.
Gotcha.
But but he is winning legal victories all over the place. Because you can't just arbitrarily remove a presidential candidate. Like that's just you can't do that.
And finally, from the Babylon Bee, this is again for those of you that don't know the Babylon Bee, they're like weird Republican satire, but also they're fucking hilarious. Because Trump is absolutely the front runner, and should be the front runner, in my personal opinion. If it was a runoff between Vivek and Donald Trump, I would vote for Vivek all day, all day long. He's younger. He understands more of the modern society than Trump does, and most of our government for that matter. He understands what people need. He understands what people want. Vivek would have been my man. And if he doesn't get it this time, God bless, he needs to run again next time because he'll surely get it. That said, Babylon B writes, Trump promises Vivek an administration position running the White House's 7-Eleven convenience store. A play on the fact that he's Indian. Thank you.
You
Come
know,
again.
Trump didn't say that. Biden said that. Biden said you can't go into a 7-Eleven without there being an Indian.
Yeah, but that's still the joke here. Palm Beach, Florida, following former President Donald Trump's landslide victory in the Iowa primary, an immediate concession by GOP candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, Trump offered an olive branch by promising the billionaire entrepreneur a cabinet position running the White House 7-Eleven convenience store. I've always said Vivek was a great man, one of the greatest men, to be honest, said Trump during a victory speech. That's why I've graciously offered him this incredible opportunity, once in a lifetime chance to run our big, beautiful White House convenience store. It's a tremendous, wonderful place. Under Biden, the White House doesn't even have a 7-Eleven. Not good. We're going to bring convenience back to the West Wing. Trump went on to say that he'll work closely with Ramaswamy every day when he takes office, stopping by the official 7-Eleven store located in the halls of the West Wing several times a day for a Diet Coke and one of those delicious warmed-up cheeseburgers under the hot light thingies.
The delicious, everyone agrees.
They're delicious, everyone agrees. Truly, they're the biggest burgers you can find under a hot lamp. Trump went on to Ramaswamy quickly began training for the position, watching official 7-Eleven franchisee training videos on how to fix the Slurpee machine and offer fast service, ringing up big gulps. Technically, I'm really very overqualified for this, Ramaswamy told reporters, and I'm a little suspicious as to why Trump chose me for this position over some of the other candidates, but I'll take what I can get at this point. When questioned, Trump was horrified at the accusations that any kind of racial stereotyping played into the selection of Ramaswamy. I wanted to offer this job to DeSantis, frankly, but he's too short to see over the little hot dog display.
Oh man.
Oh no. Scott, I hate
That's
what I just
great.
scrolled down into, though. Despite their best efforts, Planned
Oh.
Parenthood isn't killing as many babies as their founder would have wanted. It's time for a rebrand. Wah, wah, wah. That's dark, bro. That's fucking dark.
Oh man.
Jesus Christ. Speaking of dark, did you hear about this situation over in Jacksonville or Jackson,
I have heard
Mississippi?
about it. I saw this thing where like I saw a story where a police officer hit a driver and killed the driver. So instead of just, reporting it like a normal person would, he took the body and dumped it into the unmarked grave.
See, I've heard that, but I also have heard this one. This one's even bigger than that. A police officer accidentally hit a kid and then took it to the same prison and hid it in the back. But they have found 215 bodies known to the police found in unmarked graves behind a jail in Jackson, Mississippi. The reason this came around is because of that kid, actually. What ended up happening is the mom couldn't find that kid. And ultimately, I don't know how she managed it, but ultimately she managed to find out that that's what had happened to the kid, is he was buried behind this prison. Maybe it was like an inmate or something kind of told her about it. I can't remember, but let's see. A horrifying situation is unfolding in Jackson, Mississippi. This was, of course, in January 9th. So this is a fairly new article still, where 215 bodies were recently discovered in an unmarked grave behind a state jail. The families of those buried in what is known as the Popper's Field behind the Hinds County Penal Farm were never informed of the deaths of their loved ones, let alone given the chance to retrieve their bodies and pay their respects. The extent and scope of this travesty and utter disregard for human life is still largely being kept under wraps. However, what has been reported thus far is chilling. The grave sites of the victims are identifiable only by a number and a metal rod. The bodies were not involved, given coffins are properly buried. The graves were dug by inmates, and it is likely the burials were carried out by the same inmates. Oh, that's just fucked up, man. That's really dark. Could you imagine? You have a
Yeah, I
fucking
know.
like, you have like a a friend or a family member that went to prison for something a little bit more minor, maybe like a possession charge or something, and they pissed off somebody or pissed off a guard and the guard kills him, and then has the other inmates go out back and bury him.
Well, it's like this screams very much of like Shawshank Redemption kind of crap here,
A little bit,
you know?
a little bit.
And and it's not just the police that need reform, it's also the prison that needs reform. But short of burning the government to the ground and reforging the whole system from the ground up, like it's not going to happen.
Right. So continuing, go ahead.
It's just so, I don't want to say it's so ingrained, but it's so established at this point where it's just like it's not changeable without violent reform.
Right.
In
You're
my
talking about
opinion,
just government
and
as a whole, or what?
yeah, no, and then that's one of the things that just kind of makes me, specifically a radical, like a political radical, that in order to actually get meaningful change, we're going to have to do something meaningful and memorable, and that's not going to be, we can't do anything short of spilling some blood of politicians for that to happen.
Again, be careful. That's call to action.
I'm not calling anything to action. I'm saying
you are.
in order.
That is 100% the definition of a call to action.
I'm saying don't do it. Don't do it at all. don't assault or harm anybody. I'm just saying, if this is an if-then scenario.
In an if-then scenario, we won't have much time to talk about it anymore.
Hypothetically.
If in an if-then scenario were to exist, we would not have time to talk about it. Our fingers would be too busy loading our guns. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. So, continuing on with the article, the shocking revelation was unearthed only due to the persistence of Betterston Wade, who spent 7 months looking for her middle child, Dexter Wade, who suddenly went missing in March 2023. Betterston would not find out the truth about her son until October 2023. Dexter had been killed shortly after leaving his mother's home, hit by a Jackson police car while crossing a nearby interstate highway. Police were aware of Dexter's identity as he was killed with identification on him, and yet still failed to notify the family. Instead, the police department let Dexter's body remain unclaimed for months in the county morgue. Yeah. So basically, let's see. Several months later, when an investigator took over Dexter's case and finally notified the Wade family of the death, it took Betterston 2 more months before she could track down her son's body in the Poppers field. Moreover, like the other victims buried in the spot, it would cost the Wade family $250 fee to claim his body. So not only are they not telling people, not only are they burying bodies behind a prison like they're covering shit up, but on top of that, when they got discovered, they were just like, hey, but you're coming onto our property, so that's going to be $250. That's fucking extortion, first of all. Second of all, that's disgusting. That is the most depraved fucking thing. I can't think of 10 things more depraved than that. That's crazy to me. I don't see that any different than like child shit of any other sort. I think that's equally as evil. Because
yeah,
all 24 victims were from a single year. Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
Imagine, dude. And the funny thing is, nobody's talking about this. This is like the most quiet little article ever. Nobody's doing anything about it. No one's dealt with it.
Like, what really is gonna happen?
That's the thing, right?
Because yeah, sure, there are some police officers that get their rightful comeuppance.
Right.
But when it comes to a legal system that doesn't face any degree of what's the word I'm looking for? Consequence for their choices and actions. It's short of like being replaced every 4 years.
Right.
They get replaced every 4 years. That's it.
Yeah. No, I think the darkest twist of all of it, is really just to consider that like how do you deal with this? Like how do you stop anything like this? They're a police force that's armed in a country where they're aggressively pushing for the de-arming of civilians, in a country where racism was basically a fucking meme when I was growing up, like it was a joke, has somehow rebounded in a way that I never thought I would have to see racism again, and now it's like everywhere on all sides. Just everybody hates everybody. I don't know what it takes to fix this country at this point. I really just don't. It's a social thing. It's a social issue, and I have zero actual concept of where the start is and where the finish ends up at, because it doesn't even make sense that we've made it this far down the rabbit hole to get to the point where shit like this is just normal. Like, we have given all the power to the state, all of it. This isn't a call to action either, but we have given all the power to the state. We have given everybody in this fucking government the right to tell us what to do. We have voted for people blindly because that is who they told us we could vote for. That's not how it's supposed to work. It's a democratic republic. It is supposed to be government for the people, by the people. I don't know any of these motherfuckers, even a little bit. I don't really know anything about Joe Biden other than he's an old crony. Why? Why are we voting for these people? Vivek looks like somebody I'd vote for. Why? Because you can hear it. You can hear the way he speaks. You can hear the way he thinks. He's willing to share. He's willing to be open-minded, and he's willing to speak to people. Candace Owens would be a great candidate too, although she has no interest in running for office.
Well, she's sometimes unhinged. I don't think Candace Owens would be a good fit for president.
Unhinged? I didn't say president, just office.
Oh, office. Oh, well.
Unhinged is not a fair statement, because no shots on women. She is female. She's also a mother. Her hormones are going a little crazy because she's a brand new mother and she's taking care of her kid. Yeah, she's going to say some shit that gets a little wild. Women tend to do that when they're pregnant and or fresh out of childbirth. And it comes with the brain chemicals. It's no different than a fucking person with OCD freaking out when you don't close the door right. Or, you know, somebody with bipolar having a manic episode. These are all caused by brain chemicals. There's not a damn thing you can do to stop it. That's just compulsive. But that said, I don't know where we start. I don't know where we start. I've said for years, I think the ultimate protest against a government that doesn't care about us is to just not vote. You know, they have to have at least 2/3 of the country vote to call an election complete. Imagine an election where in a country with some 2-3 billion people, only 100,000 of those voted. Imagine what that would do, what kind of shakeup that would cause in government if we literally voted no confidence with not voting. Voting, when you vote for something that you don't believe in, you are still telling them that you believe in it. You are affirming. Everybody likes to talk about affirmations these days, right? You are affirming the government's ability to control you when you vote. You are affirming their rights to write laws and dictate what you get to do and what you don't get to do. I have said it for years that I would kill to ever be big enough that if we ever had another election where there wasn't at least one decent damn candidate, I would kill to organize the ultimate fuck you to the government and just get the majority population of the country just to not vote.
So far, the closest thing that we've gotten is the third party vote, which it's growing in numbers.
It's growing in numbers, but it's not enough to matter, because again, in order for an election to be complete, at least 2/3 of the entire population on census has to put a vote in.
Well, I think it's like if 21% of the population, or 21% of the vote. I don't know what the exact percentage. I think it's 21%. I could be talking out of my ass here. But if 21% of the voters vote third party or not, are not like of the two primary candidates, the vote goes to Congress, and it doesn't go to the Electoral College anymore.
Right.
And I think that would be the biggest FU right there. That's the biggest FU that we can get right now.
Yeah, I guess.
That's the most feasible right now.
I guess. I don't think that's true either, though. I don't think it's feasible at all. I think any voting is a vote of confidence. I think any voting is an absolute vote of confidence for anybody that you vote for. Any voting implies that I have enough belief in my government to do right by me that I will leave it in their hands. Because that's what a democratic republic is. For those of you that don't really understand that we are not a democracy, we are a democratic republic. We have representatives from our states that we vote for to put into offices to represent us and our beliefs and our wants and our desires, to write laws in accordance with our beliefs, wants, and desires on a local, county, state, and then national scale. Well, what that means is that when you vote, you are giving permission to somebody with your votes to do their job in those regards. So when you vote for somebody, you are giving them permission to write laws. When you don't vote for anybody, if everybody collectively was like, I don't like either of these candidates, I'm just not going to vote. What a shakeup that would be. Because there is no way you can ever in your life convince 2/3 of the country that's all looking at each other like, how is this election still going on? None of us agreed to that either of these candidates belongs in office. What are they going to do? Like, what can they really do? What can they actually do to convince a country that, oh yeah, no, everybody turned out just amazingly for this super unpopular candidate that absolutely nobody asked for? What are you really going to do? Obama was an extremely popular president. No matter how you look at it, no matter whether or not you ended up liking him by the end of his second term, Obama was an extremely popular president that used social media very effectively, YouTube very effectively, to brand himself and engender himself to a younger population that wanted someone fresh, somebody with a voice, somebody that they felt like they could be heard by. Did Obama perform super well? Arguably, probably not. He did some things right. He did a lot more things wrong.
Arguably, he was, in my opinion, he was one of the worst.
No. We've had way worse than him still. You just got to go back in history and really look at it. But
well, when you call for an assassination on a innocent civilian, like that marks pretty up there.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's done anything perfect. I'm saying he didn't do as many things wrong as you think he does compared to other presidents. There is no such thing as black and white in the world. There's only gray.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Look, I'm not disagreeing with you. I was just saying my opinion that I think he is definitely, in my opinion, he's one of the worst.
Okay, but let's put this into real respect. Okay. Your scope is 27, 29 years?
Sure.
How many presidents have you seen?
See, Bill Clinton.
Okay.
George Bush.
Okay, let me start again. You understood anything that was happening while Bill Clinton was in office?
No.
Okay, so how many presidents have you seen?
Have I understood what was going on?
Yeah. What the fuck's the point of saying you've seen it just because they were on a fucking billboard somewhere? You've seen Bush, who was fucking terrible.
Yeah, he was.
He was a warmongering fucking hypocrite that wanted to build on his family's empire by forcing the Middle East into concessions with our country and trying to get gas out of them so that he could make his money from his cattle ranch and his gas farms that his family owns. Drink up, you fools. Drinking.
Oh, I don't have my water near me. Nice mug, by the way.
I was ready for your ass today. But Bush put us into one of the worst conflicts in history, with some of the most firepower available to any nation on this earth. Bush was bad. Obama,
Oh yeah.
his biggest mistake was that he promised to take us out of the wars and then proceeded to continue the wars just as fiercely, if not more fiercely, than Bush did. After that, we had Donald Trump, who actually started pulling us out of wars and assassinated major heads of terrorist organizations. But also let a lot of
peace talks started.
Yeah, but also let a lot of stupid people into his cabinet that made a lot of bad choices behind his back and did considerable damage to his follow-up campaign. And after that, you have Biden, who I'm going to argue Biden is the worst president in history. But again, that's what I'm trying to say. You have a limited scope of what good and evil looks like as far as the presidents. You have history books, which, of course, we sugarcoat our history books. It's really hard to find a lot of the good information, the real juicy, nitty-gritty shit that a lot of these presidents did that they weren't supposed to. But that's why when you say he's the worst he might be the worst president in history.
I didn't say that he is the worst. I said he's of them. He's among them.
Sure. But in that regards, including Bill Clinton, that's been like 4 out of 5 of the last 5 presidents.
Yeah, because we're at a point where we constitutionally we don't know what we're doing here. Like, this is all unexplored territory.
And that's exactly what I was saying earlier. The reason why the wealthy got taxed in order to get their vote was because the wealthy had money to be taxed. And because they actually understood what was going on in government, because a lot of the wealthy landowners were government people. There were people that were going to enter government at some point. Fucking Jefferson, government, was a fucking big landowner farmer. Big landowner farmer, right? Like, you just got to consider the concept that as time went by, more people were allowed to vote, but also government became a lot better at hiding their secrets. And then as years went by, they figured out ways to keep who they, who the wealthy wanted in office as the only applicable candidates. Like, that's a really crazy thing to consider. I think the only candidate we've had in American history that wasn't wealthy, I'm pretty sure it was Jackson.
Yeah, I think it was Andrew Jackson, but I know he was a big military man, so he had a lot of reputation. He had a very large following, and
because he was wealthy,
very popular guy.
It was
he was kind of a shithead.
And I think if I remember correctly, that was one of the first times in American history, where voting was available to everybody.
Yeah, and
it wasn't tied to your ownership anymore, and because he was a common person of the common people.
That's why they voted.
He got into office, because he was a believable person.
They're like, hey, we could actually. This guy actually knows what we're dealing with.
God, can I think of even one other president in our history that wasn't wealthy? Poorest presidents in the U.S. Truman was also very poor, wasn't he? Harry S. Truman was very poor. Yep, that's true. What?
List of presidents by wealth.
Oh, that was the list of presidents by wealth? Was that how it was reading? Can we switch this? So Buchanan, Lincoln. Lincoln didn't have much, did he? Yeah, Lincoln didn't have much. That would explain a lot, because he wasn't a big wealthy landowner. So for him, it was all about that push. So Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, which we mentioned. I think we mentioned Johnson, didn't we? No, we were talking about Jackson.
No, we were talking about Jackson.
Grant was pretty broke. Irish Pleasure. She said, "You're talking too much. Drink."
Oh, is Curb talking to us?
No, Curb is telling us we're talking too much. She wants us to drink. She wants me to drink.
Well, I got nothing to drink, so you're gonna have to deal with it.
Cheers.
Cheers, random, nothing drink.
Right. Yeah. The problem is, right, is that it's listing the net worth in the millions. He drinking negative air? He sure is. They're listing it in the millions, but like, does it really matter? So, anyways, if we're counting anybody that was under millions, it's Harding, McKinley, Truman, Coolidge, Wilson. Where's Andrew Jackson?
Maybe he was wealthy.
Nah.
Hang on.
Nah, they're saying he had 159 million. Nah. Okay, something's not right.
Andrew Jackson's early life. He grew up in near poverty and received very little schooling as a child. So, I mean, he probably got wealthy after the fact.
Maybe. I would like to see what they actually have if they ranked it based on like when they entered office. I would wager this list is very different with Andrew Jackson being basically at the bottom. Because Andrew Jackson absolutely had no fucking money.
Yeah, but no.
I remember
but he,
I remember seeing the shack he grew up in.
Well, also despite the fact that he was one of the popular voted presidents, he was also probably one of the worst presidents too, just because he was responsible for the Trail of Tears.
Yeah, he was.
So, and then whatever president, you know, call me being I don't know, whichever president was in office in the 1840s, they were responsible.
I would say
It's like,
Lyndon Baines Johnson.
1840 president. The Whig Party, Henry Harrison defeated incumbent President Martin Van Buren, who was elected president. Yeah, so Harrison was
Harrison Ford?
no,
I'm fucking with
and
you.
William Henry Harrison.
Yeah.
So he was the one that drove the Mormons out of the U.S.
Was he actually?
Yeah. It wasn't him specifically. It was the governor, Boggs of Missouri, but it was sanctioned by the president. So, and then Polk, after they had already settled in Utah, decided to try to come in and take over the land that they had already settled in on. So, couple of bad eggs in there, but it is what it is.
Franklin Roosevelt.
JFK.
Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt was pretty wealthy. I knew that one. Yeah, apparently Andrew Jackson ended up with some serious fucking money. But yeah, that's what I was trying to lean into, though. Is that at least back then you voted for people you wanted to vote for. These days, they just kind of proffer you up whoever the fuck they want you to vote for, and that's it. You don't get fucking choices. You don't get to be a fucking... This isn't a... I would love to say that we're still in a democratic republic, but to say that we're in a democratic republic would imply that we were given choices in the first place. Yeah. How can I say that any of these people are representatives? How can I understand that any of these people are my representatives? What proof is there in my representation? I've never spoken to any of them. There's no easy way for me to speak to any of them. I can reach out to my state rep right now and I will get some sort of formality fucking pre-written letter back.
Thank you for emailing us.
Yeah, I'll get nothing. I'll get nothing for my effort. So like for me, I just don't see it, man. I just don't fucking see it.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of policies that I would like to see change in the U.S. across the board, over a lot of various different topics.
Speaking of policies, I've got a policy that I'm laughing my ass off. They always say don't overcorrect, but I think this is the right kind of overcorrection.
Is it overcorrection though?
I think it is.
It's giving them exactly what they want.
You doing one of these the day before Valentine's Day? Is the day before Valentine's Day a Tuesday? If the answer is yes, then yes.
Well, yeah, of course, because I, have no life and I don't have a girlfriend. So,
I mean, it wouldn't change anything for me anyways. I work, right? When's Valentine's Day? What's Valentine's Day? 7th? Is it the 7th? It must be, right?
no, it's 14th.
14th? Okay. Yeah, of course I'll be doing it. On 13th, absolutely. Oh, okay. We can schedule you in for that day. Okay, I will schedule you in for the
But
13th.
on the 13th
then.
or the 14th?
Well, no, because we're not going to be on the 14th.
No, she said the 14th.
I'm a whole ass married man. Yeah, she was saying that Valentine's Day is the 14th. Dipshit. Goddamn.
Oh,
Goddamn, Scott. Get with the
well,
fucking program, Scott.
Shut up, you stupid ginger.
Motherfucker. Don't let me get my other gingers in here. My gingers.
Yeah, add you all up. You still got no soul. My beat up shoes got more soul than you.
Listen, I got more soul than you ever have. I just don't have any of my own. All right. Oklahoma lawmakers wants animal control to take furries from public schools and send them to the pound. Maybe one of the greatest headline articles I've ever read in my entire life. I am dying. I was dying with laughter when I saw this on TikTok earlier, and I had to look up more about it. So in Oklahoma be wilded. I'm good for the turkey. We could talk healthcare systems that day. I'm down. I'm so down for that.
That's a dude.
That's a dude. Yeah, but yes, Curb, on the 13th, we're definitely going to dive in on that. That sounds like a great fucking time. Okay, the Republican lawmaker who previously proposed creating a Bigfoot hunting season in the state did not expand on the definition of furry-esque behavior or what kind of animalistic mannerisms or dress would get a kid kicked out of the classroom. Humphrey did not immediately respond to the post's request for comments, although the bill itself doesn't include a goal or reasoning for its existence. Humphrey previously said it was to deter children from identifying as animals. Hope I can live till then. What do you mean you can live?
People are gonna call me insane for running this bill. Hell, I'd say they're insane. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
If you got an animal coming to school, how about we get them vaccinated? How about we get them neutered? And how about we send them to the pound? Republicans seemingly pointed to bogus rumors that Michigan school district was providing litter boxes for students who identify as furries.
No.
Your heart might decide to go on strike again? Curb, what the fuck? Are you good, bro?
Have you tried not dying?
Yeah, could you please not die? Not only for the sake of the fact that you're one of my, most loyal visitors, but, also, I just care. I care about you as an individual. Please do not die on me. It would actually cause me problems. If they're gonna be animals, let's send them to the pound. Let's send them home. How do you teach a cat math? So hear me out. Here's where I was talking about earlier when I said there's sometimes overcorrection is the right choice. Sometimes you have to meet extremes with extremes. Okay? So
This is not a call to action.
this is a call to action, and this one's allowed because I'm not calling for violence. When it comes to something like kids going to school as furries and identifying as animals, etc., man, listen, I mean this in the kindest, sweetest way possible. Gender dysphoria aside, you are what you are. Do you, but also don't be a distraction to people around you. I'm gonna tell you right now, back when I was in high school, if somebody was dressed in a fucking wolf outfit and their tail kept brushing my leg from behind their fucking seat, I couldn't have focused in that class. It wouldn't have. I'd end up getting kicked out of school. I'd have punched him in the back of the head or something.
Yep, that's exactly what I said.
It would have started bothering me so quick.
This is not a call to action. We are not advocating violence against furries.
That is not what I just said. I'm saying that's what it would have been like for me in high school. That's absolutely how it would have gone. I'm all down for this inclusiveness shit outside of places like that. If it's you and your friends and you go to the club in your furry outfits on the weekend, do you, boo-boo. That's all you. I'm not taking part of it. But when you bring that to school, a place that kids mandatorily have to be, and you're a distraction on everyone else in the fucking room because you're dressed as a fucking fuzzy ass wolf, fucking stop that shit. It's an overcorrection in that it's like, it really is meeting an extreme with an extreme. But in this case, it's like, all right, if you want to be an animal, then you will have animal rights. Much like a human stuck in a pal ball. No, anyways,
Cannibalism.
cannibalism. No, but like seriously though, like if you want to play cat, you get treated like a cat. You lose. You're asking to give up your rights in this particular case. Do I really 100% agree with it? No. Do I think it'll help some people maybe not like bring their fetishy shit to school with them? Maybe. I don't know. It's hard for me to make that call, right? I don't do that. Plain and simple. It's not who I am. It's not how I act. I don't do the fur thing. I've had furry friends. I loved those furry friends. They were great people, good guys and girls that I really enjoyed spending time around. Guess what they didn't do? Come up on me in a fucking fur outfit and hump my leg like I was a fire hydrant. So, like, I didn't have to worry about that shit. When I ran into them at places where furries were present, like conventions and shit, like nerd conventions, and they were in their persona outfit, didn't give a fuck because it was the right time and place for it. Just didn't care.
Who was it that was humping your leg?
Nobody would have. Oh, you've humped my leg before. That's true. You've absolutely walked.
No, that
up
was
and
Mike.
humped my leg. No, Mike humped your leg.
Oh, Mike humped my leg. Never mind.
And that was hilarious.
Well, you've also flashed your junk at me, so you know
that's true.
All's
seen
fair
my
in
balls.
pranks and war.
You've seen my balls. Curb called for pause, so we're gonna put on a video for her pause. This is from a game called Tyrone Souls.
We are not advocating this game. We are just reviewing it.
Kill yourself now.
Hella homosexual.
Another Yakubian classic.
Because what are you here for? To worship me? Kill yourself. I mean that with 100%, with 1,000%. Now.
Curb says we're being hella homosexual. Fair.
Hey, you know what's wrong with two homies showing each other's balls? Yeah, no. Here's the thing, Kraken. Like some people don't separate reality and fiction. Some people just didn't get that memo. And I remember seeing a story of this one guy that worked the night shift at some random big box store, and he scared off one of the customers because he thought he was about to start going feral on her because he wanted to turn into a werewolf right in the middle of the store aisle.
For the exact same reasons why, as somebody that was Mormon, like really, really into the church Mormon, I never agreed with religion in schools. I don't agree with over-engendering your sexuality in schools either. Leave the fursuit at home, focus on your studies. That's what I'm going to say there. That's really, again, I don't have any issues with the lifestyle. I just don't. And I 100% agree. There is a difference between separating that from this. It's like streamers. Here's a good solid example of exactly what you're implying. Streamers. Most streamers, not me, definitely not Scott, because Scott and I talked about it ahead of time. He's like, well, do you want me to like do a personality swap or anything? I said, no, honest to God.
Which I actually did find my wig.
All I want you to do is be you without any of the stupid shit you shouldn't say out loud. That's all. Like, that's the only limitation I put on him. He's allowed to say pretty much anything except for the stupid shit that could get him into trouble.
Which I have done a pretty good job not saying a lot of this stupid shit.
He's done a good job not saying. If you ever see him like really pause and think about his words, it's because he was about to say something he shouldn't. I am pretty uncut. You can ask him. This is how I am all the time. This is me as a whole nutshell of a person. I don't put any facade on. XQC, another person that I would argue is in the big streaming community, doesn't really wear a facade. Then you get some of these other streamers. You've got your Amaranth, and you've got your Pokimane, and you got a few of these other people that like they definitely the wolf in sheep's clothing on the internet. Your cozy calamari burrito, nice. But like, that's the difference, right? Those of us that are realistic, we stay in the real. Maybe we're a little less entertaining for it. Fuck them. I can't be anyone but me. But that's the problem with the furry thing is it's like, yeah, these people are embodying that lifestyle in all parts of their life. And it's a distraction for people around them. It's non-respectful. You think I just walk around pushing my podcast on strangers all day? Fuck no. This is my personal shit. If people ask what I do in my spare time, of course I'm going to bring it up. And if they're interested in showing it, I will share it with them. But
I do walk around and push my wiener on people all the time.
that's kind of your business plan, though.
Yeah.
Your whole plan is to get people to put a wiener in your hand.
No, I just tell them put my wiener in their mouth. That's what I want them to do.
You just don't show 100%? Dude, I get that. I get that. I definitely have to watch the way I phrase things because in my personal life, I am 100 unfiltered. There are things I will say that most people will be like, yo, what the fuck? And I'll be like, here, let me explain the weirdness of it. Anyways, so back to Tyrone Souls briefly, because it's fucking hilarious. This is the opening sequence before the boss battle.
No, but I was going to say, though, I did find my blonde wig and I have my glasses, so if you ever want me to be Timothy.
Don't think I ever will, not on this podcast.
It's over, Tyrone. We have you on video committing 14 different felonies. Put the weapon
14
down now.
Fuck 12. I'ma pop a cap in y'all asses.
Open fire!
What the? Who the fuck is you?
Good news, Tyrone. You're not slated to die. Yet.
Yet?
Federal agent.
Cap in your ass too, bitch.
Keep in mind I can drop this shield at any moment, allowing those pigs to make Swiss cheeses.
How is you doing that anyway?
Is this really the time to be asking questions?
Nah, I guess not. What you want, ho?
You are a suitable vessel for your coup, Tyrone. Accept its blessing, and you will receive great power in return.
Your coup? What game is that? Never heard.
100% Curb, I get that. I have to guard myself on the internet just a little bit because the internet's sensitive. But like, if you ever meet me in real life, trust me, the raw experience is very different.
Aight, make me an NBA level baller, and give me some shit out of like an anime or something.
Like Goku, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. Drip me out too. I want to be decked in gold, bitch.
Why is Tyrone just the worst stereotype of a, like a hood rat?
What the?
My melanin be tingly.
Rest in piss, pigs. Wait, on this one? Hey, yo, pig. How the fuck is you still standing? I'm a black god. I'm finna have some fun with you.
Finna.
Domain expansion.
Pharaoh's eternal rule. Yeah, no, this screams wee wuzzery.
And I hate to be so aggressive toward a guest.
Whoa, calm down.
I hate to be so aggressive towards a guest.
It just auto-played into that shit. Oh man.
Oh man. Great.
It's 1:55. Any closing thoughts, buddy? We didn't get through everything, but some of this can carry over next week.
Sometimes it don't be like that, but sometimes it do.
You should nuke yourself now. You didn't like the domain expansion, huh?
Also, finna is not a real word.
I'm hoping the 5 layers of tape holds the charging cord. Are you having issues with your charging cable not staying in your phone or something? Like, what the fuck? That's a crazy amount of tape. Also, Herb, did you say you were gonna? Are you gonna try to get Palworld on Steam or nah? Or are you just kind of fucked on that?
It's okay. We're all a little broken inside.
Yeah, no shit. Scott's gonna be getting Palworld on Steam because I said so. He'll probably get it.
Eventually.
He'll probably get it tonight if he knows what's good for him.
No.
Get it tonight, you son of a bitch. I will be purchasing Palworld on Steam, and
You're
I'm
buying me
broken inside
Palworld,
and
right?
out.
It's okay, Kraken. We could be broken inside and out together. It's fine.
I'm already playing it on the Xbox version, so maybe I can let you co-op in my game as well, Curb. The controller is supposedly recognized now. Yeesh. But yeah, so I'll be doing 2 different ones. One with probably Scott and my wife on Steam. And of course, I will gladly drop that link for anybody that actually watches this channel. Other than that, guys, I know time is money. I appreciate that you spent yours with me this evening. Oh, you can leave now. We don't raid this. We don't raid out of this channel with 3 people. That's like almost a cry for help. Back when I had like 10 plus people, that was a different conversation, but it feels like a cry for help whenever I only have a handful of people around.
Bye, Kraken. Have a good night.
Night, Kraken. Sleep well. Night, Curb. Sleep well. On Wednesday from the hospital. God damn it. Curb, I'm reaching out to you after I end stream. Guys, I know time is money. I appreciate that you spent yours with me. I'm going to head off. Yeah, we'll see you on Tuesday. I'll have this video uploaded first thing tomorrow. You guys take it easy.